Rediscovering Gita for the Modern World by Shrikant Soman. Based on Essays on Gita by Sri Aurobindo. Chapter 13 continued. The Lord of the Sacrifice. Continued from the previous episode 85, The Eternal Truth, God, World, and the Law of Sacrifice. Current episode 86. The Problem of Action After Liberation. Beyond the ego, the path to impersonality. The Gita's view on renunciation and the impersonal self. Key takeaways. Impersonality is the key to liberation. The passage states that true peace and lasting happiness come from rising above the limited ego and connecting with the impersonal infinite self, known as the Brahman. The goal is not physical inaction. True spiritual renunciation is not about giving up work, but about abandoning attachment to the results of one's actions. The ego is the real obstacle, not the work itself. Nature is the true doer. One must learn to see all actions, including their own, as the workings of nature, while the soul remains a detached witness. This perspective leads to the death of the ego and true impersonality. A new problem arises after liberation. Once a person achieves impersonality and becomes free from the ego, the purpose of continued action becomes a new philosophical problem. The passage questions if actions continue merely out of natural compulsion or if there is a higher purpose. Reconciling inaction and action. The passage highlights that genuine freedom is not dependent on physical stillness. An impersonal soul can remain calm and free in both a state of non-action and while actively engaged in the world. Liberation comes from becoming more impersonal. We've always found that the more we connect to the impersonal and infinite, the less our ego controls us. This brings a sense of peace and pure happiness. The joy that our limited ego can find is fleeting and small. The problem of the ego. Living only through the ego makes this world seem full of suffering. This is because a limited life isn't the whole truth. Life becomes real only when it opens up to the infinite. This is why the Gita emphasizes the Brahmic consciousness. The Brahmic consciousness is an impersonal life. The unchanging self or Akshara is the infinite and impersonal. It is the solid base for the world's changing activity. Our first spiritual need is to raise our consciousness out of our limited personality. We must move into this impersonal Brahman. Seeing all beings in this one self frees us from our ego. It gives us peace and a firm spiritual foundation. The two paths. This change can happen in two ways. The Gita combines the path of knowledge and the path of works. The path of knowledge means turning our will away from the senses. We must turn it upwards to the self, or Brahman. We should focus on the one idea of the one self. We must not get lost in the mind's many thoughts and desires. This path seems to lead to giving up all works. It seems to lead to an immobile passivity. But this is not truly possible. The soul and nature are twin principles. Our work in nature must continue. The true renunciation is not fleeing from works, it is slaying the ego and desire. The practice of renunciation. The way to do this is to abandon attachment to the results of our works. We must recognize nature as the true agent. We must live in our soul as a witness, watching and supporting nature, but not attached to its actions or their results. The ego and personality are then quieted. They merge into the one impersonal self. The workings of nature continue through all beings. We see them as living and acting under nature's force. Our own existence is just one of these beings. We see our actions as nature's, not ours. The ego used to claim them, but now the ego is dead. we have achieved impersonality in our being. By renouncing desire, we've achieved impersonality in our works. We are free in both inaction and action. Our freedom doesn't depend on being physically still. Even when active, the impersonal soul remains calm and free. Is impersonality the end? This liberation is real and complete. But is it the final word? All life is a sacrifice offered by nature to the soul within. We have risen above ego and desire. We have found the impersonal Godhead. We've identified our being with the One Self. The sacrifice of works continues. But it's now done by nature, not by us. It's done through our minds and bodies, but within our infinite being. So who is this sacrifice for? The impersonal self has no desires. It has no object to gain. Its existence is for itself, in its own self-delight. We might do works without desire to reach this state. But once we reach it, the purpose of work seems to be over. Works might continue because nature continues. But there is no further object to them. The only reason to continue acting is nature's compulsion. If this is true, then we can reduce our works to a minimum. We can do only what nature absolutely forces us to do. And if action doesn't matter, then the type of work we do also doesn't matter.